Malicious Compliance number 4. I showed a cop a photo he definitely wasn't ready to see. I was walking around the city with my roommate. As we crossed the main square, we suddenly witnessed what looked like something straight out of a movie. 3 cops had cornered some guy who, judging by the situation, had apparently been selling something illegal nearby. I'd never seen anything like that involving the police before, so naturally, I wanted to tell my girlfriend about it. I pulled out my phone and started recording a voice message for her on WhatsApp. But before I could even really start, something unexpected happened. Across the street, right where they'd caught the guy, a young police officer noticed the phone in my hand and yelled, "Hey, what are you doing?" I froze. At first, I didn't even realize he was talking to me. I just stood there staring at him, thinking he had to be yelling at someone else. Then, a few seconds later, I realized he was already running toward me, still shouting, "What are you doing?" At that point, I genuinely freaked out. I held my hands out in front of me without touching him and said, Hey, calm down." Then we had a conversation that went something like this. "What were you doing? Were you recording a video?" "No, I wasn't filming anything. I was recording a voice message for my girlfriend." "Open your gallery right now and delete the video in front of me." And that's when things got awkward. Why? Because I knew exactly what the most recent photo in my gallery was. It was a picture of my dick that I'd sent to my girlfriend. Now, I'm not the kind of person who gets shy when I have to say something awkward. If it needs to be said, I'll say it. And at that point, I had nothing left to lose. Listen, I'm being completely serious. The last photo in my gallery is a picture of my dick. I don't care. Delete the video. Now. This guy was not backing down. In his mind, that video absolutely existed somewhere on my phone. The only problem was, there was no video. So I thought, fine. Let's do this. I opened my gallery and showed him the most recent file. I opened the photo, and he saw it. For 2 or 3 seconds, this guy just stared at my screen, trying to process what he was looking at. Then he closed his eyes, turned his head away from the phone, and said, "Get out of here." My roommate and I got the hell out of there immediately. I was practically crying from laughing so hard, and my roommate was losing it too. So yeah, that turned out to be a pretty damn great evening. A 10-minute favor versus a €1,000 bill. When I worked as an architect at a company, I needed to make an invitation for my daughter's birthday. I opened Photoshop on my work laptop and spent maybe 10 minutes on it, tops. Later, while my boss and I were reviewing one of our projects, he noticed the file in my recent documents. He told me the computer was strictly for work. I simply said, "Okay." There was no point arguing. Later that same week, the company sent me to another city to inspect a building. I took all the necessary measurements using a tape measure and a laser distance meter provided by the company. When I got back, my boss asked if I had already downloaded the photos from the site. He wanted to see what the inside of the building looked like. I told him I hadn't taken any photos. My phone was personal property, so I wasn't required to use it for work. Judging by the look on his face, he really didn't like that answer. But there wasn't much he could say. A few months earlier, I had already asked the company to provide me with a work phone. They refused. The very next day, there was a brand new Samsung sitting on my desk. And soon after that, they sent me back to the exact same city, this time just to take pictures. The company had to pay for another flight, another hotel stay, and all the other travel expenses. All of it could have been avoided if they had simply given me a work phone in the first place. Want to personally sign every single purchase request? I hope you brought a comfortable chair. My name is Ethan, and I work as a senior technician for a specialized industrial company that repairs heavy equipment. Our parts are expensive, and many of them are custom made, so our purchasing process used to be pretty simple. I'd send my boss an email saying something like, "Need a hydraulic seal, $4,000. He'd reply, "Approved." And I'd place the order. Fast, simple, no unnecessary bureaucracy. Then Kevin showed up. Kevin joined the company as an efficiency consultant and soon became the director of operations. He was convinced that email was a tool for lazy people, and he decided he had a brilliant new way to crack down on unauthorized spending. From now on, every single purchase request, regardless of the amount, required his handwritten signature on a special Form 402, and the form had to be delivered to his office in person. I tried to explain why this was a terrible idea. Our shop processes a huge number of orders. On a busy Monday, I might make around 40 separate purchases ranging from $5 bolts to $10,000 motors. Kevin's response was simple. If it doesn't have my signature, the company doesn't pay for it. No exceptions. I don't care if it's 5 cents or $1,000. I want to see every single purchase request that comes across our desk. Apparently, Kevin didn't fully understand what the words "every single" actually meant. Normally, I bundled purchases together or bought small things like washers, lubricant, and safety glasses through the shop's general fund. But the new rules were the new rules, so I followed them exactly. Monday morning, I stopped combining purchases and started filling out a separate form for every individual item. Need 10 specialized bolts? Separate form. Need a bottle of degreaser? Another form. Light bulb burned out in the break room? Yep, another form. By 10 a.m., I had a stack of 64 purchase requests. I walked into Kevin's office. He was on a conference call, so I waited until he finished and then dropped the stack onto his desk. "What is this?" he asked. "Morning purchase requests. You said you wanted to see every single one. I need your signatures so the shop can keep working." It took about 20 minutes to get through all the paperwork because Kevin insisted on reading every request before signing it. By the time he finished, I was already back with 15 more. By Tuesday, you could visibly see how irritated he was getting. By Wednesday, we had a real problem. I was now spending a significant part of my workday walking back and forth to Kevin's office and waiting for him to finish meetings so he could sign forms. Equipment repairs slowed to a crawl. 3 major customers called asking why their machines still weren't ready. Then came the breaking point. We got an emergency call from a local facility that had suffered a major equipment failure. To get a $200,000 pump running again, we needed one $12 O-ring. It was around 4:45 p.m. Kevin had already left for some business dinner. Under the old rules, I would have simply bought the part and filed for reimbursement afterward. But under Kevin's new rules, no exceptions. I wasn't allowed to buy anything without his signature. So I told the customer, "I'm sorry, but I don't have authorization to purchase the part. Our director of operations has to personally sign the request." The customer was furious, so he called our CEO. The CEO called Kevin right in the middle of his dinner. Kevin said he'd take care of it first thing in the morning. The CEO told him to get back to the office immediately, so Kevin had to leave his dinner, drive 45 minutes back to work, and walk into the office in his business suit just to sign a $12 purchase request. The next morning, every employee received an official notice. Electronic approval by email was once again allowed for purchases under $5,000. Ever since then, Kevin has done his best to avoid eye contact whenever I walk past his office, and I still faithfully bring him a paper form for anything over $5,000. I make sure to time it for those moments when he's enjoying a particularly important lunch. After all, he was the one who insisted on seeing every single purchase request, no exceptions. They told me to work strictly according to my contract. Well, it didn't take long for that to backfire. I'm a teacher at a public school. For a while, I'd been arriving at work around 7:12 or 7:15 in the morning instead of the required 7:10. There was a reason for it. Construction had started near my daughter's daycare, which meant I had to park across the street and walk her farther to the building. So every now and then, I'd arrive at school a few minutes late. Eventually, administration called me in for a meeting. I was formally reprimanded, and they even put a note in my personnel file. Their reasoning was simple. You're paid to work from 7:10 a.m. to 2:22 p.m. You are expected to be at work during those exact hours. Alright then, there was just one little problem. Classes ended at 2:02, and after school, I would usually open the school weight room for our student athletes. I'd supervise them, help with their workouts, and give them advice on proper lifting technique. I used to compete in sports at the college level myself, and I had plenty of experience with strength training. The students usually worked out until around 3:15 when their coaches arrived. The kids loved it. I enjoyed it. The coaches appreciated it. And I did all of it completely for free. But administration had just reminded me that my workday ended at exactly 2:22. So I decided to respect my contractual hours. I posted an announcement on the school website saying I would no longer be supervising the weight room after school. I was gone for one day. Just one. And apparently, that was all it took. That very day, several phones disappeared from the locker room, and the police had to be called. Somehow, the door to the weight room got broken. Students started running around the hallways completely unsupervised, and one student ran into a teacher so hard that she had to go to the nurse's office. After all of that, administration called me in for another meeting. "Why weren't you supervising the students after school?" I just shrugged. I was told to work strictly within my contractual hours. I'm only paid until 2:22. Then I reminded them that supervising the weight room had never actually been part of my job. I'd been doing it voluntarily, for free, simply because I enjoyed helping the students. The very next day, a new job opening was posted across the entire school district, after-school weight room supervisor, and then administration personally asked me to apply for the position. So now, the work I used to do for free, they have to pay me for it. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed these stories, leave a like and tell me what you think in the comments. Which story was your favorite? And if you want to hear more crazy stories like these, subscribe to AT Storytime and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Your support really helps the channel grow. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.